Hello lovelies, welcome back to the Q&A session. It's still hot. I've just topped up my water. I popped into a cup this time so as not to offend. By the heck, it's humid. And just what, I've got a thermometer there and I can just see this, like, it's not mercury anymore, is it? But let's just pretend it's the mercury is just nudging and nudging and nudging. I've got, I don't know if you probably won't be able to see it, I've got my front door open at the moment because then out in the hall I've got the Velux open and there's, you know, trying to draw air through. Of course, all the bathroom and kitchen windows open as well, but of course the front windows are shut just at the minute. Didn't break it while we're filming, but once I finish filming then these front windows will be open too, and then that lovely cool air on the north side can get pulled through the house. I'm not complaining. Not complaining. It's just, you know, summer, it just feels like summer took so long to get here this year, and I just don't think we're acclimatized. We so many cool damp days. Anyway, stop talking about the weather, but I'm British. So, as I said, carrying on with my little Q&A, and in that first part it was all to do with the house move, all that kind of thing. Thank you, great questions. And it's interesting, isn't it? I think, you know, to some degree I've been so focused on the process, do this, do that, do. I haven't looked too far forward. I haven't done too much imagining of my next space. But answering those questions, actually, me getting my tongue tied today, it's funny bearing in mind one of the questions. But yeah, answering those questions, it did sort of open that door ajar of peeking through what is the future? How is that garden going to look? Anyway, yeah, still grinning about it, still grinning about the garden. So today's questions are completely random. They're all over the place. Actually, I've got a couple there as well. Okay, let's start with these. Yeah, these are all over the place. Some of them can be almost like a bit of a yes-no answer. Others may take us back in history. I may end up telling stories today. But let's crack straight in. So, these aren't in any order. Moon Spinners said, as a vegetarian, do you take supplements? Well, I take a couple of supplements, but it's not because I'm veggie. Well, one of them sort of is. So I take a B complex supplement. Actually, I haven't had my bloods done for a while, but I can probably knock that one out because literally every time I saw this question, and I thought, so I went online. I've got a bit of paper, so never mind. I just went online and I was looking at my bloods from over the years because I don't always supplement. Sometimes I take supplements. And I've never actually, my B numbers have always been absolutely fine. So I'm on a B complex, all the Bs at the moment, but I might ditch it for a while. But what I do take, and I take it regularly, I take it religiously, amen, I take vitamin D3. My body does not seem capable of making it. It's been going on for years. I only found out about it by accident a few years ago, because I was having bloods done for something else. It was at the height of summer. I'm outside all the time in that sunshine. I mean, you can tell like the tan I had, and my D3 levels were virtually zero. So even with supplementation, the stuff you get over the counter at the high street, even that didn't get my numbers up enough. So I take a mega one, and because of that I also take vitamin K. It's all to do with keeping that calcium. The problem with taking high dose vitamin D3, it can increase blood calcium. I don't want to become hypercalcemic. therefore the vitamin K helps to keep the calcium in your bones. So it's vitamin D3 and vitamin K, but it's partly to do with my calcium. Anyway, so that's it. I don't particularly take supplements because I'm a vegetarian. Keep a varied diet. I take vitamin D because my body doesn't seem able to make it. I made that more complicated than I needed to, didn't I? Motton, this one made me laugh. Have you ever experienced anything paranormal? I was going to say no, kind of like really offhand, but then I do get vibes. I get the vibes. I think we all do, don't we? To walk into a building or be introduced to a person and you just know that there's something not right. Can't put off it. That sixth sense thing. Yeah, I've definitely been into places, and I'm not even talking about, all ancient ruins of abbeys, perfectly modern buildings. And like I say, being introduced to someone where there's just that sense of, I don't like this and I don't want to be here. In the same way that I always say about this flat, that it has such a happy vibe. It's such a chilled, happy vibe, this flat. And I'm sure that's partly because of what I've put out while I've been here. But the minute I saw it, the minute I came into this flat before I bought it, I mean, it was ugly. It was so ugly. But there was just an incredibly positive energy. So, Motton, I have never seen a ghost. It was Motton, wasn't it? I've never seen a ghost, if that's what you mean. But I certainly, I feel, and I don't know what that is. But I think most of us do. I don't mean that in a, I'm not a whack job. I'm not a nutcase. I walk into a room and I can feel that it's good energy, or I can feel that it's bad energy. How can that be explained? Does that count as paranormal, feeling energy in a room or feeling a person's energy? Or is that just being an empath? I don't know. It's quite interesting though, isn't it? It's funny, when I saw your question written down, I kind of chuckled and thought, no, I've never seen a ghost. But actually, the more I've thought about it afterwards, I've thought, I suppose it depends what you mean by paranormal. Is energy paranormal? Well, anyway. Maybe that'll get some of you thinking too, because we do feel energy, don't we? But is it paranormal? Anyway. Yeah, I told you these are really, really random, all over the place. Oh, I've done it again with my little book because I've written on both sides of my pages. Right, we're on this side now. Okay, so plant native, great question, she said, or he, I don't know whether you're a he or a she. Do you ever get recipe rut? How do you get out of it? Do I ever get into a recipe rut? I don't think so, because, and I think, but the reason I'm kind of hesitating is because it may change a little bit now with not having the garden. And put it this way, until now I would say no, because I eat seasonally. So the recipes I eat, they don't tend to stay around long. I mean, no. Some recipes I'll eat right throughout the year. So, oh God, I'm so sticky. So, a vegetable curry. If I do the fan down here, it won't distract you too much. I want to do it out of shot so it doesn't distract. Don't get the benefit. If I, something like a vegetable curry, I can make that through the year, but it'll have different veggies in it. The same with a risotto, a spring risotto with broad beans and asparagus, but then in the autumn winter it might be a squash risotto. So yeah, I think the answer I think the answer, until now, it might change now that I don't have a garden, has been no. I generally don't get in a recipe rut. I'm eating seasonally. So for instance, fresh tomatoes, which I'm really loving at the moment, even though they're not from my garden, that's a really small window. Probably, in terms of eating fresh tomatoes, I probably only eat them for 2 months of the year. So I don't have time to get in a rut before the fresh ones are finished, and now we're on to tinned or bottled or frozen, however you preserve them. And that goes on for 10 months, so that by the time the fresh ones are coming again the following August, I'm so excited for them. I eat seasonally, so therefore I don't. So that forces my recipes and what I eat to change. Into the future, I suppose it's possible that I could get into a rut because I might be eating, differently because of what's in the shops. What I'm trying to say is, I don't feel like I ever get in a recipe rut. And I think one thing not necessarily you personally, one could do if one felt oneself getting into a rut, is to promise yourself to only eat what's fresh and in season. And then how can you possibly get in a rut? Because tomatoes are only available for 2 or 3 months, or apples are only available for 3 months, late summer into autumn, etc., etc. So if you just stick with seasonal eating, then just when you may be about to get bored of one of your recipes, that ingredient disappears from the shelves, it's gone out of season, you're into the next thing. Give that a try. I've done that same thing with the pages. Tongue twisters. Angela said, Plant Native, cheeky with your 2 questions, said he doesn't eat fish. How do you get the nutrition from a fish without having fish oil supplements? Sorry, the straight answer from me is I don't know. What nutrition is it in a fish that you want to get? I don't know what nutrition you're talking about, so I can't answer the question, sorry. I don't eat fish either. If you're talking about oils and the omegas, are you talking about the omegas 3, 6 and 9? There are veggie options. Flax seeds, hemp seeds, pumpkin, sunflower seeds, all the different seeds with those little seeds, hemp seeds, flax seeds, etc. You need to grind them, either pound them in a pestle and mortar or grind them in a coffee grinder, for example. You can get all those oils that way. Have a look online because you need to do it in proportions. You need more of one than the other. So I can't really answer more than that because I don't know specifically which bit of nutrition from a fish you're talking about. If it's protein, then it's protein in pretty much anything and everything. I think you probably meant the omegas, did you? Anyway, flaxseed, hemp seeds, pumpkin flower seeds, sunflower seeds. Look at all the seeds. Some are better for omega-3, some are better for the omega-6. Have a little look online. Angela, this is what I was laughing at a minute ago. Angela said, you speak so precisely. Did you have elocution lessons as a child? No, didn't have lessons in anything as a child. No money. I really wanted to have ballet and piano lessons. I wished I could have had that. But there was no money, so no, we didn't have lessons in anything. Growing up, if I dropped my if I dropped an H, for instance, no, I'm trying to think. I mean, every now and again my mum would correct me, but it was more of an accent thing because, she's a southerner, and of course I was born and bred up north, so she didn't like either the Lancashire accent or the Liverpool accent, and I was getting a bit of both. However, so I was told off a lot as a child for the way I spoke. So I spoke one way at school and another way at home. But then, of course, I went to drama school later on. So at drama school, they knock your vowels out of you. Get rid of that. drama school has changed a lot, you know, over the years. Nowadays at drama school, regional accents are very much encouraged and nurtured, but by the same token, everybody needs to learn how to, if it's called received pronunciation, RP. It's that, can you speak in a neutral way? Sometimes you want the accent and sometimes you just need that neutrality. So no, it was nothing to do with having elocution lessons as a kid. I went to drama school. So that's what part of it was. Oh, okay, so I'll come back to, I'll go on to drama school in a second. Bobby Joe wanted to know, what's the story with Charlotte Bronte, my beautiful dog? Very simply, I'd been, as an actor, I'd been touring loads, I'd been on the road loads, and I kind of needed a break from it. I wanted to settle down a bit. This is around that time I was saying in the last video about nearly buying property in Greece, but actually being sensible and buying property in London. So just, you know, bought a property, and at the time I'd been working as a part-timer in the bookshop for years and years and years, on and off between acting jobs. And they had said to me, the owner had said at one point they'd had to get rid of the manager, and they said, please, will you come in temporarily for 6 months and manage, because I knew the business so well, while we sort someone out. And I thought, you know what, this is one of those brilliant opportunities in life. I was sick of living out of a suitcase, and I thought, yeah, I'll take a 6-month break from acting, a 6-month break from living on the road, living out of the suitcase. Just bought this property, it'll give me a chance to do the property up and, you know, just really kind of have some roots for once. But then I started to really enjoy that life. I started to like being in one place and not being a nomad, and I was loving doing up the house and all these kind of things. And actually after about 3 months at the bookshop, I'd really massively turned things around in terms of profit and loss for the first time in about 5 years. Profit in a really, really short period of time. So all the shareholders said, because I knew them all, they said, please, just stay on. Just do this now as your job. And I thought, well, yeah, why not? Because I love books, I loved the job, I loved the people, you know, the customers. I'm loving this more settled life. Okay. And so within a very few short months, I'd gone from this nomadic suitcase life to now running the bookshop, completely running it. I've got a little house with my partner. It's like, I need a dog. Now I need a dog. Because where we got the house, it was right opposite a park, tennis courts, lovely wilder areas for me to go running. So I'd said to my boyfriend at the time, I said, you know, I really, you know, it was the beginning of May, my birthday's at the beginning of July, and I said, I think I need a dog for my birthday. I need a dog for my birthday. But I knew I wanted to get a rescue. So many of you, wherever you are in the world, outside London, whatever, you'll have heard of Battersea. Well, it used to be Battersea Dogs Home, but it's now Battersea Dogs and Cats Home, or as Vic would say, Dogsy Bats Home. Little young ones thing for you there. Anyway, yeah, so we went off at the beginning of May. It was May the 17th, I'll never forget it. It was an absolutely torrid day. It was lashing with rain, dark. It was such a dark day. It was hideous. Wind howling. Why did we go on that day? I don't know. Anyway, so we decided, well, we're going to go to Battersea Dogs Home that day, and just, you know, do we register? How does this process work? This was back in 98, 99, around then. So it's before all the whole internet thing, you know, we did have a bit of internet, but it wasn't like it is today where literally anything you need to know, you just go online. Anyway, so off we toddled down there. And I think, I'm trying to remember the exact details. You do need to, there is a registration process. And we'd taken a ticket for the registration process, but they were going to be another hour or so. They were registering other people. So we sort of went, well, we'll go around the kennels. We'll just go and have a mooch around the kennels and see if any of the dogs, you know, speak to us, as it were. There was no plan to get a dog on that day. The whole plan was to get a dog for my birthday at the beginning of July. But because we didn't know the process, we happened to both be free that day. Let's go to Battersea. Let's see what's what with, you know, I was going to say hiring a dog, not hiring a dog. What's it called? Adopting a dog. Anyway, so we went all around the kennels, and I didn't have a massively fixed idea of breed as such, but I knew that I wanted a bigger dog. I didn't want a little yappy snappy. I'm not into yappy snappies. I want a dog that's, because I was running pretty much every day at that time. I'd go out for a run every morning, and then at weekends go for a much longer run. And so I wanted a dog that would be able to run with me, and also that's a great safety thing as well, isn't it, hopefully. But yeah, I wanted to have a dog that was, you know, robust, that would enjoy running with me, and that's big enough for me to play with. Don't like the little ones that break them. Anyway, so we went all around the kennels, and I fell in love with one dog called Lancelot. Oh, he was a handsome boy. And I think he was an ex-racing greyhound, but no, there was something else in with him. I think he might have had a bit of borzoi, because he had that slightly Roman nose, but he didn't have the hair. Anyway, had a walk round, and then eventually we got to go into the interview room to be interviewed for our suitability. My partner worked from home all the time. He was a writer. I now had a permanent, stable job, so I wasn't going to be going off touring anymore. So we kind of passed the interview bit. They do a house check as well later on, but they said, we've been around, we've had a look, and I said that, you know, I like the look of Lancelot, and they were like, oh no, as first time dog owners. I wasn't a first time dog owner though. I'd sort of fostered dogs before, so maybe having a dog for a year and a half was the longest one, sometimes just a month. But anyway, they said no, he needs more experienced owners. So we went around, I was like no, didn't, and then they thought, oh, this one might suit you, so they brought they had a dog brought down and brought into sort of like the interview room's like a playroom as well. And this poor dog was on its last legs, God love it. I mean, it was really old, and she just didn't want to interact with me. Bless her, she broke my heart. But I just said, there's no point. If you're going to adopt a dog from pity, you'll end up adopting all of them. You can't adopt from pity. It just wouldn't work. And I said, look, there's no way this dog's going to enjoy running with me, and she doesn't want to interact with me. Yeah, it just wasn't right. And you know, some dogs, of course, they can be really shy and you need to give them time. Yeah, I get that, but it just wasn't right. It just wasn't right, and I'm not going to be forced. Anyway, so I said no, this isn't a match. So we sort of talked again about specifically what I want, and then he suddenly went, actually, we've got a dog who's in a bitch dog who's been in the hospital wing for the last 3 weeks, and she's just about ready to now go up for homing. He said, I think you might. I'm going to get emotional. God, I suddenly just flooded me. Oh, flipping heck. He said, I think you might like her. Right, come with me. And by now, that just came from nowhere. I remember, I can see it so clearly still. He said, come with me. So we came outside of the building, because it's not in the main building where there's all the floors of kennels. And where the dog's home is, it's almost into the centre of London. It's where a lot of railway lines converge. They're all coming in and up to Victoria. So quite a lot of the buildings at Battersea, they're sort of built into the railway arches, and you go under the arches and they've got a play exercise area there. So we have this moment where we've come outside, it's dark, it's so dark, it was about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, but it was lashing with rain, howling with wind. So now suddenly here we are, we're sort of partway under a railway arch, and under the path that we're on, it slopes, ever so slightly slopes down. He said, wait here, I'll go and get her out of, this hospital wing. So suddenly it's this incredibly sort of Victorian scene almost, this sort of London of 100 and something years ago. The wind's howling, the rain's lashing, we're under this railway arch. It's like, woo, it's a bit spooky and odd. And then I can see him coming back up in the rain. He's kind of got his head down because the rain's just lashing. And then I got my first sight of my Charlotte Bronte. It's kind of partly, there must have been lights on one of the railway embankments because she was backlit. I mean, honest to God, it was like a blooming scene from a film. It was ridiculous. It was so perfect, so slightly backlit, misty. Is it mist? It's not, or fog? No, it's just the lashing rain. So I can see, and because she's coming up a slight rise to meet us up here. It just looked like there was a wolf on a lead. So he's part wolfhound. Well, no, we think actually part deerhound. But yeah, and this hair's just going flying as the wind is whipping it, the rain's lashing, and he's bringing her. And I remember grabbing my partner's arm and saying, "Oh my God, it's Pilot! It's Pilot!" So for those of you who know the novel Jane Eyre, when at the very end. Should I tell you? Does it? Oh, I'm going to give it away. You've either read it or you're never going to read it. At the very end, when Jane Eyre comes back, and by then he's blind. When she comes into the building, his dog Pilot races to her because he recognises her, and he's sort of muttering because he's grumpy. Who's there? Who's that? And she sort of says to him, "Do you not know me, sir? Your dog knows me." Oh, it's just the most beautifully romantic moment in any book. Yes, your dog, sir, knows me. So she's coming to her, grabbed my partner's arm, and I went, "It's Pilot!" As in, this is my Jane Eyre moment. It was beautiful. So I didn't want to call her Pilot, because that just wouldn't be the right name for her. So in that instant, she was either going to be called Jane Eyre or Charlotte Bronte. Jane Eyre is a bit airy, so she got called Charlotte Bronte. Charlie for short, but I generally called her Charlotte Bronte. Oh, my beautiful girl. I loved that girl. She was interesting dog, quite incredibly aloof, such an aloof dog. People go, "Oh, your dog's lovely, can I pet her?" And I'd say, "Well, you can put your hand out, you can proffer your hand to her." And she just couldn't be bothered with anyone. Adored me. Adored the people that I adored. So adored my friends, and would always, I used to take her to the bookshop quite a lot, and the other two guys at the bookshop, I might be hard working upstairs and I think, "Oh, I need to get something from the office downstairs." I go down to the office, they're all on the floor playing and cuddling. I'm like, "Guys, can you do some work? Charlotte, stop distracting the boys." Yeah, so, beautiful. You had to really, really, really earn her love and attention, which is quite unusual for a dog. It's quite cat-like, we think, isn't it? That we think of dogs, they're just bound up to anyone and love anyone, and it's just like, oh, I'm just happy to see any human being. No, she was definitely Vivi's dog. Oh, lovely. You know what? Sorry, I've lost my bit of paper that was on. Is it in my hand? That was Bobby Joe's question. Bobby Joe, thank you so much, because, yeah, what a lovely trip for me to go down memory lane. But that moment of seeing her coming up that slight rise under the railway arch, howling storm, backlit, there aren't many moments in life that are so perfect in terms of lighting, sound, feeling, everything. That moment was utter perfection. So yeah, thank you for asking the question and prompting that memory. Goodness me. Okay, that's that page done. I've accidentally pulled a couple of pages off. Do you ever get in a recipe rot? We've done that. Oh, okay, that one is done. That's the recycling pile. Right, how long have I been chatting? Oh, kind of going back to elocution and speech and all that. Sweetie asked, did you learn French for a particular reason, or was it a hobby? Just taught French at school like everybody, or like most people. In the UK, I don't know if it's still true, does everybody still have to study a language at school? Some schools do German, some do French. It's probably changed. There are probably schools offering different languages now, maybe some of the Far Eastern languages. But back then, everyone learned a European language. More often than not, German or French. Occasionally, schools might offer Spanish, but it was rarely Spanish. So I learned French as part of my schooling. So we start at the age of 11. Did it for I was going to say I did it for O level. God, I'm boiling. At my school, so I did French for 3 years, starting at the age of 11. Loved it. Took to it like a duck to water. I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed speaking French with my friends in my little gang. We used to, some French as being a bit like secret, stop the other kids from understanding what we're saying. But then when it came to actually our options, which is when you pick your subjects for O level, French O level clashed with drama. So I really wanted to do French O level as well. So I had a great teacher who would set me some work, occasionally would meet me at lunch times to go through things with me. But essentially I did French O level on my own at home. But used my friends. So one of my friends was really good at French, actually went on to be a French teacher, lived for a while in France teaching English, weirdly enough, but that's how good she was at French. So yeah, I would practice with my friends, you know, after school, walking home from school, just mucking about. We'd try to do all our conversations in French as far as we could, and if there was a word we didn't know, one of us would always have a dictionary to hand. We'd look it up. So I would say I'm not brilliant at French in terms of writing. My reading comprehension of French is quite good. I'm rubbish at conjugating my verbs. I'm still rubbish at that. But I think just by mucking around with my friends like that, it developed quite an extensive vocabulary. So even though I might not be able to conjugate my verbs and I trip up with that, in terms of like names of things, names of objects, I don't know how to put it. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad for someone who didn't take the study any further than school. You know, finished school at 16, never picked up a French textbook again. And I think it's one of those things as well, it's about use, isn't it? So when my sister and I went to the south of France, one can feel a bit shy about trying out one's French. But by the time we were on the train south, not the Eurostar, but on the train south, everyone had stopped speaking English. The announcements were all in French. It was like, you've got sink or swim. So it quickly came back to both of us, both me and my sister. I think I was a little bit more confident than her, but after a few days she was going, you ask, you do your French. And I was like, no, you ask, you do your French, because you've got French too. Go on. It's confidence, isn't it? So yeah, by midway through that holiday, we were gabbling away in French, and yeah, happy. Hang on a sec. I think so much of language is confidence, isn't it? Like if you ask me now, I might be a bit shy again, but that's the other. This is so it's a weird one as well. I kind of I still quite often, you know, when I'm at home on my own, I quite often speak in French to myself, and I don't know if that's that habit formed with my friends all those years ago. But yeah, I chatter away to myself in French a lot. I don't know how accurate my French is. When I chat French to someone who is French, they seem to understand me. So yeah, but it was not. I never learned it for a particular reason other than British kids. In those days, we all learned at least one European language. We all had to have at least 3 years of study of at least one European language. I fell in love with the language straight away. I loved because it's a very articulate language on the tongue and the lips. It's very and I just like I liked how it felt to form the words. I liked how it sounded. It's all very delicious and chewy. I mean, I love Italian as well. That, in terms of how a language sounds, those two languages, so beautiful. Yeah. Oh, Italian and French, the two most beautiful languages on the planet. I mean, I think English is amazing. Our language is stunning. Thank you, Shakespeare, for all the bits you added. Sorry, I digress. Where are me bits? Oh gosh, we might have run out of time. How long have I been going on? Oh gosh, there's some questions which they need quite an extensive answer. Just, you know what, bear with me a second. Eek! Check the time. I've been chatting on. There are a few questions I didn't get round to. It's about five or six questions. I was kind of leaving them till the end though, because I thought they're going to be quite chunky answers. They're a bit kind of serious and a bit deeper. So I'll leave that for another day. Besides, I'm getting really hot. I need to go and refill my water again. I need to get these windows flung wide. I need to get some air moving. So yes, we'll leave the other. They're good questions. Thank you. You know what? Thank you everybody who gave me some questions, both that previous video and this one. Fab. And there's going to be another. Actually, I think there's going to be a whole lot more chat coming in the next couple of weeks as well, just because I'll explain that in another one. For now, I'm just going to say thank you for joining me today. I hope those answers were interesting or enlightening or entertaining or whatever. I hope you got something from it. I'll see you all again really soon. Maybe on a cooler day. Oh, maybe I should go and film us in the park so we can sit under a tree and catch a breeze. That would be lovely, wouldn't it? All right, gorgeosities. Until the next one, cheerio.